Hello, today I want to share with you a technique I've developed for building really easy harmonies. We have a section of song here with an established and settled vocal line, and I want to put some harmonies underneath it, and that splits it into two requirements. I want, I've come up with a bell, kind of synth bell sound that's going to be like 3-part chords underneath the melody playing a different melody. And then I want to also take the concept of this secondary melody that I've constructed and build 3 guide vocals for sung melody lines over the top. So there are going to be 3 different sung choral harmonies and also some synth chords underneath. So if I start it, I'll talk about it while it's playing. So that's that synth bell sound in the background. This thing is going to be the secondary melody underneath. Really simple.
Reaching for his heart, he steps into the night.
So when played on the keyboard, that's going to form like some lush chords. You could put strings in place of the synth bell. You know, I've tried that. But it's also going to form the structure for the harmony lines underneath. So this is how I do it. First things first, I need to quantize the track. So as things stand, this is just played in naturally. So I'm going to quantize it because of the lengths of the notes and what I'm working with here. I'm safe to select the entire event, quantize start, and also quantize lengths. Later we're going to come on to start extracting notes out of this using the logical editor, and it needs to be able to identify notes easily. So quantizing it is really important. Next step is for me to duplicate this track, and I'm going to duplicate it twice. So these duplicates are going to form thirds and fifths. They're basically going to go to make my chords, so I'm going to call them thirds and fifths. Select this second track, and I'm going to select all the notes on the event. Go to transpose, and this is the magic button here, scale correction. Turn scale correction on. This song is in B major, and I'm going to transpose it 4 semitones up. What that's going to do is it's going to transpose all of those notes up a major third, which is 4 semitones, but within the context of the scale. So if 4 semitones above each one of these individual notes is not a note in the scale, then Cubase will auto-correct. I think it prefers to auto-correct down, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't really care either, frankly. As long as each note is in the scale, that's all I'm interested in. So I'll execute that. And you can see now all of those notes have been shifted up. This was originally a B, and now we've gone up C, C sharp, D, D sharp, 4 semitones. Go down to this event over here. I'm going to do the same, but this time I'm going up 7 semitones. So this is a perfect fifth. So as things stand right now, without doing anything else, I've got all these constructed chords. Let's just have a listen to that all on its own. Every one of these chords is in scale.
The stormy sky, reaching for his heart, he
idea. So that's fine as your structure. If I switch that to strings, you get a much more kind of lush thing with your symphonic feeling. But in this particular song context, and it's too loud, obviously, as far as a mixing thing is going, I would pull all of those way down. But that's stage one. I've got my chordal structure underneath. Now then, task number 2. I want to turn these into melody guidelines. So I want them to be sung. So the first challenge is to select each of those 3 tracks and duplicate them. So now that I've got my 3 duplicate tracks, I'll just move them all down here. And now I'm going to call these vocal harmony one, 2 and 3. So for these 3 tracks, to give you a better idea of what's going on, I'll turn them into choirs. Okay, so I've set each of those 3 tracks to one of the vocal presets in Halion. It really doesn't matter what preset it is, because this is just a guide for the vocal to sing over the top of. So those 3 together, it'll sound pretty hideous. But we've now got the 3 tracks that we recorded for the bells. They've been squirreled away. I've duplicated them and turned them into a choir sound. But that's no good to me, because if we look at those 3 parts in total, there's all your notes. Now, Pauline has a vocal range of between B3 and C#4. Whether it's B3 or B4 is irrelevant for the purposes of the keyboard. It depends what the synthesizer's tuned to. Well, basically, I'm going to pull it down into a 15 semitone range. Those are the notes that she's best at singing. That's her best range. So any notes outside that are of no use to me. The first thing I'm going to do is squash those 3 tracks together. So if they're all currently soloed. So if I merge those 3 tracks together, I've got keyboard shortcuts for all this, but that's basically just a simple MIDI merge. So now we don't need these 2, throw them away. And this track is the composite of all of those notes together. So these are now chords on a single track. Now Pauline's range, as I said earlier, is B3 to C#5. I think I said 4, I'll correct that later. So any notes outside that range are no use. So these D#5s and E5s up here are no good to me. So I select them all, say -12, and move them all down. Let's say for the sake of argument that B3 is out of Pauline's range as well, or your vocalist. So I choose all of those notes, however many there may be, set that to +12, transpose them. So now every single one of those notes is inside your vocalist's range. Now the vocalist can't sing 3 notes simultaneously, so I need to split this back out into 3 tracks. But rather than use my originals, the ones that I had the synth bell sound on, where you've got potentially all sorts of crazy vocal acrobatics jumping up and down from your minimum to your maximum range, what I'm going to do is select all of the notes in this event, and open my logical editor. I've got this logical edit preset. You can have a look at it, take a screenshot. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to extract the lowest note out of each chord. That's why we quantized earlier, and it's going to put it on its own separate track. So this parameter here is note numbering chord, lowest equals 0. So we select note numbering chord, we select 0, and type is equal to note. I've got the function set to extract, and now when I click apply, so you've got 3 notes here for this first chord. Now we've thrown the lowest note away. If I click that again, we've thrown the new lowest note away. And we've got these 2 new tracks over here. Pull them back up so all of our notes are together. There's track number 1, there's track number 2, there's track number 3. Select all 3 parts. That's our original chord as assigned to the choir preset. So if I play that, it's still going to sound exactly the same. You can see because the notes have been constrained within a tighter range, they kind of sound more coherent. Now you've got different voicings there than you had on the original 3 parts. This is really important. That's why I kept those original parts like unsullied. The strings or the bell sound or whatever it is, piano maybe, that you're going to have playing those chords in the background, they've got as big a range as you want, and you can leave those notes natural. But by having this process where we kind of take low notes and throw them up and take high notes and throw them down, we're basically messing with the inversions for all of these chords. So when we play all of that together, and they're going to cross over and do different things. But when I come to record these harmonies with Pauline, I can play her this one line and say, there you go, sing that, maybe do oohs for that track. And then when we come to do the second track, the notes are again tightly constrained. It's really easy to sing, and she can sing ahs for that part. And every one of those parts is going to have a harmonically separated structure. They're all going to be first, thirds and fifths of some variety, whether they're at the upper end of a range or at the lower end of the range. And when you add it all together and stick it back in your song,
On the river rolls with no direction, lapping at the corners of his mind, when a sudden resolve in our hero's eye turns the tables and down falls the...
it's such an easy way to build harmonies. And there's nothing stopping you adding perfect fourths or sevenths or whatever you want to this concept. You know, figure out where in your scale that semitone position is, set your scale correction there, and bang, you know, there's absolutely nothing stopping you. There you go, an easy hack to create really simple harmonies. Hope that's useful to you. And if it is, please consider subscribing, hit notifications, then you'll find out when my other content comes out. Thanks very much for watching.